Gingerbread, cake and Christmas. Why not put them all together in one lovely package? G'day, welcome to Todd's Kitchen. Who doesn't love gingerbread? Especially around Christmas. It's so delicious, so easy. But I'm going to make it into a loaf, so it's even better. So join me today as I make my version of a gingerbread loaf. And don't forget to check out toddskitchen.com for my easy and cheap merchandise. Okay, so we're going to start this off in a mixing bowl. So into a mixing bowl, I'm going to place in half a cup of softened butter, 1 cup of sugar, and to enhance the flavour, a teaspoon of salt. And using a hand or stand mixer, we're going to mix this on medium for about 3 to 4 minutes until it's nice and fluffy. Okay, now that it's all pale and creamy, next I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 egg, and 1 cup of applesauce. And just give it a mix for about another 1 or so minutes, just until it's well combined. Okay, so once combined, now we're going to add our spices. So first I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, followed by 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and finally 1 tablespoon of baking soda or bicarb soda. Don't get it mixed up with baking powder. And then finally 1.5 cups of regular plain flour. And then again, just mix it through until it's well combined. So lastly, I've just got a greased loaf pan, so just place it straight into our loaf pan. Now just use cooking spray oil, but you can also grease it with butter, it's up to you. Okay, so once done, simply place it into a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 55 minutes, and you know it's ready when you touch it on top, it springs back, or you put a wooden skewer in the center and it comes out clean. Okay, so with our loaf out of the oven, we're just going to work on a basic icing, which will really help top this off with a nice sweet flavour. So into a mixing bowl, I'm going to place in 4 ounces or about 110-115 grams of softened cream cheese. Then I'm going to follow that up with 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And finally about 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. Now depending on the consistency, you may have to add a little bit more, but start off with 1.5 and just go from there. And with a hand or stand mixer, just simply mix it through for a good few minutes until everything is nice and combined and there are no lumps, until you get to a nice smooth consistency. So with our gingerbread loaf completely cooled down, we're just going to place our icing mixture on top and just simply spread it out to cover the entire top of our loaf. And just to garnish, I'm just going to sprinkle on some crushed up pistachio nuts. And there we have it, and how delicious does that look? It truly is an incredibly simple gingerbread loaf to make. Tastes just like the gingerbread cookies, but in loaf form, and trust me, it truly does work too. It'll go perfect with a cup of coffee on the side, or as a dessert after dinner. But honestly, whether you have it with coffee or as a treat on the table for this coming Christmas, either way, it's going to taste simply delish. So thank you for watching this episode of Todd's Kitchen. As always, I'll leave a list of ingredients down below in the description, as well as links to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Home Handy Hints channel. And please do me a massive favor by giving this video a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another delicious recipe. Pudding is fantastic any time of the year, but today I'm going to make a Christmas edition. G'day, welcome to Todd's Kitchen. Who doesn't love pudding? It's so simple yet so delicious. But today I'm going to make a Christmas version of it. So join me today as I make my version of gingerbread pudding. And don't forget to check out toddskitchen.com to check out all my fantastic merchandise. Okay, so we're going to start this off with a loaf of thick cut bread. So I've just got into some manageable piles. So we just want to cut it up into small squares like so. Okay, so I've just placed our squares onto a baking tray lined with baking paper, and we're just going to place this into the oven for about 10 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. And about halfway through, we just want to basically just move them around just like so they can get cooked on all sides, and just give them a slight toast. Okay, so with our bread pieces now lightly toasted, into a separate bowl, I'm going to pour in 2.5 cups of milk, followed by 5 eggs, then 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar. Then I'm going to follow it up with about 1/4 cup of molasses. Ooh, look at it swirl. Next, a teaspoon of ground ginger, 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice, and finally a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And give it a very good whisk until everything is well combined. Okay, so I've transferred our lightly toasted bread squares into a baking dish. So we're just going to carefully pour over our prepared mixture. Okay, now we're just going to let this sit here for about 15 minutes just to give it a chance for that toasted bread to soak up all of our lovely mixture. Okay, now that it's soaked everything up, we're going to place this back into the oven, which is at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius for 60 minutes. Okay, so I've taken it out of the oven, let it cool down for about 10 minutes, and as you can see, it is nice and set. So it's just basically a simple matter of just taking out a slice of our lovely pudding. And look at the inside of that, it looks delicious and it smells fantastic too. Now you can add whatever type of topping that you like. I'm just going to add some vanilla custard to the top. And it's done. And there we have our delicious gingerbread pudding. Now it looks fantastic, but it also smells fantastic too. The smell alone, you cannot describe it. It's just so good. So as you can see, it's incredibly simple to make, which is key, especially come Christmas. And it's a warm dessert that I know everyone will love. And the best part is you can make it any time of the year and it'll still go down well with any dinner. But no matter whether you wait for Christmas or have it any time of the year, either way, it's going to taste simply delish. Okay, so to start off with, into a pot on a medium heat, we're going to place in our butter, then our firmly packed 1/2 cup of brown sugar, then our golden syrup. Now if you can't find golden syrup, you can replace it with honey as well. Okay, we're going to stir this over the medium heat until the butter is melted and the sugar is completely dissolved. Okay, so it's all been dissolved and it's just starting to come to a boil now, so what we're going to do is just take this straight off the heat. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put in our bicarb soda and we're just going to mix that through. Okay, now that the bicarb soda has been mixed in properly, we're going to let this sit here for about 20 minutes just to cool down to about room temperature. Okay, now that mixture has cooled down, so into a bowl, I'm just going to place our wet mixture. Okay, so into the bowl we're going to place in 3 cups of plain sifted flour. Then we're going to sift through a tablespoon of ground ginger. Then our cinnamon. Then our nutmeg. Then our ground up cloves. Then our baking powder. And finally 1 egg that I've just whisked up. Now there are a number of ways of doing this. If you have a stand mixer, use a bread hook. I guarantee it's going to be so much easier. But if you don't have a bread hook, that's fine. You can just mix it in very well with that by hand, and then what you're going to do is you're going to knead it for about 2 minutes until it's nice and smooth. So kneading is where basically you're pushing the mix out, folding it, bringing it back in, pushing it out, folding it, bringing it back in. And he's going to keep on doing that until it's nice and smooth. It should only take about 2 minutes. Okay, so it's all been mixed through. Now what I've done is separated into 2 parts and covered them both with plastic wrap. What we're going to do now is put this in the fridge for about an hour, just so it can firm up a bit. Okay, so I've just taken it out of the fridge. So I've got it laying on some non-stick baking paper. So what I'm going to do is put another sheet right on top. And we're just going to roll it out till it's about, say, 1/2 centimetre thick. Okay, so once you've got like this, we're going to grab our shapes now. The first one I'm going to use is a gingerbread man. So I'm just going to cut him out. And then I might do a star. And lastly, a Christmas tree. Okay, so we're just going to separate all our cookie shapes, just as so. And what we're going to do is just roll this up again, roll it back out to about the same thickness and cut out some more shapes until we've used up all the dough. Okay, so once you've made up all your gingerbread men, we're going to place this into the oven, 1 tray at a time, into a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 8 minutes. Okay, so I've just taken them out of the oven. Now I've just transferred them onto a wire rack and we're just going to let them cool here for about, say, half an hour. Okay, so now that's nice and cooled down. Now this step is obviously completely optional. I'm going to use some writing icing. So I'm just going to choose any colour you want. You can choose any design you want. But for me, I'm just going to trace around the gingerbread man just on the inside. I'm just going to give him a couple of blue eyes. I like to keep it a little bit different. Maybe a nose and a mouth. And we're just going to give a couple of buttons just to make up a shirt. Okay, and they're done. Now, my icing job aside, they've come out pretty fantastic. I think next time I'll leave the icing design to the wife. It might work out a bit better. But apart from that, I'm still very happy with them. They're cooked perfectly. They're nice and puffy, as you can see. They came up right. They're puffy, but they're also thick on the inside. Now all up, I was able to make 20 gingerbreads. Now of course that all depends on how thick that you make them, and of course the cutter that you choose to use, the size of the cutter. But however thick or big you make them, they're going to taste simply delish.